A little bit so we can see your head. There you go.
Got
Yeah,
it? Okay,
yep,
there we
that's
go.
good. Hello, everybody. Welcome.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome to the. I'm calling these the Wellcast, just because. Just because, why not? So, Howard Jacobson, WellStart Health, Plant Yourself, joined by Sarah Bofinger, the Mergoddess.
Woo! Or I
Uh,
should go like this. Is that my entry?
yeah, the wave. Show us your
The
nails.
wave. Oh yeah. My nails. See, now we're all
So, yeah,
bedazzled out.
now I got to up my game.
Uh-huh, exactly. Now you need to, next time I see you, designs.
So, if folks are on watching, I'd love to make sure we can be heard. If you could type hello or yes or whatever in the comments. Hey, it's Elizabeth.
Woo!
Elizabeth just saved my ass today because for the second week in a row I posted a podcast with like crappy sound. This time my guest couldn't be heard, so she caught it real quick, and I think I was able to re-upload it. So Elizabeth's a good person to have in your corner.
She is. She even saved me today too. So how about she's like the superhero QB. Her name is QB as a superhero because that's just like quarterback, you know. She's
Yeah.
always getting where it needs to go.
Yeah, and to this probably hates this, but Saved by the Bell.
Yeah.
So, so Sarah, you're in California right now,
Uh-huh. In
right?
Orange County.
Orange County. Oh, you're gonna see Olivia?
Possibly. I'm still, just seeing where the life is going to take me out here. I'm
Okay.
going with the moment.
So I assume it's gonna take you into the water.
It is definitely. There's a beach that I know I will be racing and I'll be eating really good plant-based food and having a lot of fun. So those are my main goals.
Nice, nice. So let's talk about the racing. What's uh,
Okay.
what's what's at stake? What's happening, and what does it mean?
Okay. Well, so this is a national championship. So basically, I could get my Olympic trial qualifying cuts here at this race. So that's really exciting. That's one fun thing. Then another fun thing is I'm racing against people my own age. So for the past couple races, I've been racing against like teenagers. So this will be like people 30 to 34 and, seeing like where I will place within, them. And yeah, I'm just like, I just have so much gratitude coming into this race because just like, I've never actually been to a summer nationals, so this is really exciting to swim long course summer nationals. And
What
the
does that
other
What does that
thing,
mean? Long course?
long course is the really long pool. Like it's basically the 50 meter. So usually if you're in a regular size pool, you swim two lengths, and that's a 50. But in this one, a 50 is one length. So it's a little longer. It's a different, like, I've had to train differently to get ready for it because it's not just like I have a wall and then I can just get a
So
break and
so
go. Like it's,
so you like make a mistake, like you flip halfway.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
like, wait,
possibly.
where did the wall go?
Yes, exactly. And you're like,
Oh,
and then in butterfly, you're like, oh, why isn't the wall there? Because now it's like half, like you have to keep going even if you wish the wall
oh.
was there.
Oh. Wow, I never thought of that. I guess you practice in all sorts of different. I mean, even I guess pools that are supposedly the same might be a little bit different from each other.
Yeah, like I practice at an LA Fitness like by myself and that's like 23 and a half yards. Then my team has a couple pools and we swim at like 25 yards. And then a couple times a week there are several pools that have the long course. So you can actually practice, your pacing, all those different types of things to have in your mind, because I basically practiced the 200 fly. So that like became my favorite event. And in short course, like I was getting faster, like, oh, I got this wall push off, I got this wall push off. But like now you're like decreased by like 3 walls, so now, and then it's longer. So like, even though I had done all that butterfly training, going into like my first 200-meter butterfly was like, I mean, in my head, a disaster. I mean, I look at the video, I look fine, but in my head, if you only knew, I would be like, it was crazy. But then like I learned something from that, right? And then I was able to dominate, but not time wise. It didn't go down, but like learning wise, it was huge. And then like the next time I did it, it finally felt easy. It was effortless, and the time drop was amazing. So it was like, okay, everything went together.
So what I want to talk about a little bit, I think, with you is that, right, we get so many people that we work with who have a very binary view of athletes. Like, those people are athletes and I'm not. And athletes are the people who train a lot, who play professionally, who are really good, who like were really into sports in high school. And then there's like me, and I'm not athletic, and I never liked it. And I, in gym class, I like to like pick dandelions in right field, instead of playing. And we're kind of trying to tell people, like, we're all athletes, and there's a way to think about yourself as an athlete. And what I love about talking to you about your sport is that you talk like the rest of us in some ways. Like you haven't, I don't know, like in your head, if you ever get like, I got to crush them, or if I don't win this race, I'm nothing. Like, I'm sure that stuff, floats around in the ether. But the way you choose to talk about your sport and at this really high level is the same way I think about dragging my sorry ass on a 5-mile run, right? Can you talk about like what works for you in terms of how you think of yourself as an athlete?
Yeah, well, I mean, this is really great because I mean, like, yeah, like at like, like 5 years ago, I mean, I basically announced that I would train for the Olympics. So like, I mean, that's just like somebody like literally, like I compare it to somebody like on the couch and now they're like, I want to do a 5K. And like in the moment, it feels like way off. Like you're just like, oh my gosh, like there's no way I can get up and do a 5K. Just like how I thought there's no way that I can just like do this. Like I need these special coaches. I'm like supposed to be a certain age. I got to do all these certain things, but like, and not saying that those things like, come in about, but like what I'm learning is like the more that I can just like, just stop and like recognize those things. Like, don't shush them away. Like, allow them to be there and know that, like, the next level for me is, here because in this moment, maybe I don't feel like I can do it, or maybe I'm putting all this pressure on myself of what I need to do, but like just going out there and doing it and being able to spend the last 5 years chasing one goal that I haven't even felt like I would be this close. And like now allowing the gratitude to be with me is like really beautiful. And I'm like just learning this now. Actually, like today, like me and Elizabeth we're really talking about this. So it's perfect that I get to share because, there's all these like old beliefs like coming up. Like, yeah, I'm excited and all these things, but like instead of like focusing on those old beliefs and things of myself, I'm allowing them to like be there and like being like, oh, okay, like that's cool, and I'm really like going into this race like I just want to like do my best, and like if I'm supposed to make my Olympic trials, I'll make them, and if I'm not, I'm not. But like I'm not going to beat myself up about what I don't know, because what I do know is I'm here and I'm going to show up, and that's all I can do.
Yeah, and and like we think we know what's best for us, right? Like when we're chasing a goal, like go definitely like making the Olympics is the thing I need to do, and maybe it is, and maybe it isn't, but to think in those terms is to not be present, right? Because there's nothing you can do about making. You can't make the Olympics or not make the Olympics. You can do this or not do this.
Exactly. It's literally the same thing, but like if you put all this like extra on it, right? Like, okay, like the Olympics is like this is all that I have, right? But it's like it's not really that. Like what's cool is that like I've been able to chase a dream that I denied for my whole entire life, and I've been able to create it and help people and inspire people in the process. And oh my gosh, like how cool is that to be able to like show other people that maybe their goal is just getting from the couch to a 5K, but now they started the process. And that's what's so great about everyone getting any kind of goal you want, you know, like just by being able to say and like get excited just to say that you want to do it, and then whatever happens from there happens, you know.
Yeah. So I got a comment from Brenda. It says, "Glad I caught this one. Sounds just like me. I am not an athlete." So we got to talk Brenda out of that one, right?
Yes.
Go for it.
So, you know, it seems like in your belief system is that I'm not an athlete because an athlete is considered somebody that trains like a million times a day. Or, you know, I have to eat a certain diet or I do all these certain things. And, you know, I had the same belief system going into to even wanting to train for the Olympics. Like, I don't have the same plan as maybe Katie Ledecky. I don't eat the same foods as Katie Ledecky, but does that mean that I can't be an Olympic athlete? No, it doesn't mean that at all. It's just that if I switch my belief system and I allow myself to say, you know what, like, I am an Olympic athlete. I am an Olympic athlete. And for you, you can say, I am an athlete. And it can look however you want. You get to make the terms. It's up to you to essentially rewrite your own story, rewrite the story that we've been talking about athletes. Maybe just being here as a human is an athlete.
Yeah. I want to recommend a book to Brenda, and I don't know if Sarah, if you've read it. It's called The Brave Athlete by
I've heard of it.
Simon Marshall and Leslie Patterson. I had them on the podcast a while back. They talk filthy, which was wonderful. You know, very very no nonsense. And I love the title, The Brave Athlete, and because they're talking about everyone. Like for you to put yourself up against the best in the world takes a lot of bravery, but it takes even more bravery for Brenda to do athletic things with this story of I am not an athlete. And so for me, the definition of an athlete is someone who is trying to do better today than they did yesterday. Right?
I agree with that 100%. Yep.
Because that's all any of us can do. Right? Some people, people like, I don't think I will ever swim like Michael Phelps. Right? Like I don't have the body, I don't have the feet, the feet length and the tiny tiny waist and giant legs or whatever it is that he's got.
Yeah.
Like that's so weird.
But those stories went on for me too. I'm 5'3". I don't have a long wingspan. I don't have this height, But what I do know is that Finding Nemo, you find those little fish in there, they get to where they need to go, So just because it hasn't been created doesn't mean that you're not the person that's going to create it. If you're the person that is going to be the athlete that nobody knew was an athlete, then there you go. Now you've been creating it and you're setting the stage for other people that are thinking just like you, but don't have the bravery to talk about it.
Right on. Yesterday, I saw a movie on Netflix that a neighbor of mine whom I run with told me about, and I adored it. It was so inspiring. It's called The Battered Bastards of Baseball. And it's about this baseball team, this single A minor league baseball team in Portland, the Mavericks, who existed from 1973 to 77, and they were the only independent minor league team in the country. So all the other teams were part of like the farm system for the major leagues. So they get paid, by the Yankees or the Dodgers or the Twins. As soon as somebody was good, they were moved up. So there was no fan loyalty. And this guy, he was like a movie, a Hollywood actor. He was in all these Westerns. He was the sheriff on Bonanza for 13 years. And he did Westerns with John Wayne and Ronald Reagan and stuff. And he then sort of retired, and he was like a huge baseball fan. And so he bought the rights to this minor. He started a new team, and he says, we're gonna play baseball the way it's supposed to be played. And he put out tryout notices in the Sporting News. Like, can you imagine? Like, do you want to try out for the Olympic swimming team? It's like a personal ad or something like that. And people came from all over the country. And what I loved was, if you think about who plays minor league ball, it's who gets invested in. It's the players that the major leagues think can make it into the majors. And here was a group of guys who were, they'd either been has-beens, or they weren't good enough, or they were cut, or they were too short, or they weren't really in shape, or they had bad eyesight, or they refused to, conform. And they came together, and like the whole point is this, like, let's have fun playing baseball. And it was like wacky and wild, and they beat everybody.
Because they were having a lot of fun, right? They were.
Yeah, because they were good. They weren't cut in the mold of what Major League Baseball thought athletes had to be. But they actually, they ended up they were on a TV show with the sportscaster Joe Garagiola, who kind of made them national news, this sort of, fun, scrappy, weird story. And then this former Major League Baseball pitcher, Jim Bouton, who'd won World Series games with the Yankees, and who had been ostracized after he wrote a tell-all book about what it's really goes on in the locker room and the bus, and nobody wanted anything to do with him. He called up that team and says, I want to pitch for you. And all of a sudden it became like a place where people could just experience their own potential. So the general manager was this 24-year-old woman. The bat boy was this 11-year-old boy who just hustled more than anybody else. They had the first Asian American manager in baseball.
Wow.
And it was like, whoever you are, we want to see grit and hustle and fun, and you're part of our team. And imagine, that's what it's about, isn't it?
Yeah. So, and that's kind of how, where I'm at, right? Is that I've been going over these hurdles. I was never set out oh, you should go to the Olympics, and you're going to be in this particular team, and you're going to do this. No, I was always oh, you've had the hip surgery, so, you're just kind of average. And, oh, you can just take pills or whatever. And okay, and just keep believing these systems. And over time, it becomes who we are, because we keep saying the same story over and over. And what I'm doing now, really just getting the tools from WellStart, coaching, holding myself accountable, and knowing that if I truly want to do it, I don't have to worry about how it's going to happen. If it's supposed to happen, it will. But if I can let go of the resistance and just have fun like those baseball players did, now it's we can just sign up and go swimming. Because I get to see a bunch of people that I just saw in April, and it's a different pool. It's a new vibe. If I can I can just go into this moment knowing that, this is going to be a lot of fun, and I get to swim. This is really cool outside, right? The sun beaming down. It's great.
Yeah. And I love what you said about being accountable to yourself, because I think that's a big shift in what I'm thinking about with an athlete, because Josh talks about having played football in high school and then going off to college and thinking the college coaches are a much higher level. They'll really make me work. They'll really whip me into shape, and kind of outsourcing the accountability.
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to and we all do that. It's convenient. It feels good. Like someone else is gonna whip us into shape, is gonna fix us. But like the true athlete is the one who is self accountable, right?
Yeah,
Like yeah,
totally.
we get coaches and we have a support system that gives us feedback, but ultimately we're the one who decides what that feedback means and what to do with it. And that's just as true of someone walking a 30-minute mile.
Exactly. Because if you think that now you need this coach to get you to go below the 30-mile, well, 30-minute mile, well, then, now you're reaching outside. I mean, I've done it like most of this journey. Like, I mean, in 2016, I'm like, oh, some Olympic coach is just gonna like find me and just like, oh, her story is so great, and like we just want her on our team, and then all of a sudden I'm gonna like get fast. But what if I just let go of the resistance and know that I have it all in me? And what if then I just get the gold medal time? Like, it's like in our brain, we think that we know how it's going to happen, right? Like, so I've been trying to predict this whole time, like, okay, well, this meat, I'll just take a little off, and then this meat, and then, oh, this meat is gonna, oh, but I got to take a little, and it's just like this roller coaster. But like, for me, I'm going into this race, like, you know what? If I'm making it happen. Like I'm holding myself accountable and knowing that whatever I put out there is everything that I gave, and I'll create my results.
Yeah, and in fact, like being groomed from very young to be a star is pretty much a recipe for disaster most of the time. Like it's really like child prodigies rarely make anything of themselves. There's this wonderful book called The Talent Code by Daniel Coyle, where he was looking at different pockets of incredible talent. Like there's this one tennis place in Russia where all these Russian women came out of, and they were winning world championships. This city in the Dominican Republic that produced all these baseball players, or this music school in New England that produced all these great string players. So like one of the things they all have in common is they kind of have shitty facilities. Like you want to be hungry. Like, yeah, we're behind the eight ball. And if the world was out there looking for where can we find, the next Olympian is going to be this 5'3" chick with 7 hip surgeries. Like that's what we're looking for.
Yeah, I mean, that's not what you're thinking. But then it's like when it happens, it's like, whoa, like now everybody wants to, take responsibility or, say, oh, we are this thing that creates these people. But like what's great about, WellStart is it's like it's this great community, but it's also these like-minded people that are holding you accountable for your own goals, but also supporting you in the process and allowing to see you like how versus like, okay, it was all WellStart. Like WellStart wants no
Yeah.
credit almost, it's like, oh, that was just like, great. Like, I'm so glad that, I could reflect that to you. But like, and because we see it like that, because we know, like, because each of us have all gone through these other things and we knew that it didn't work. And it's like when everybody is comfortable with themselves and you are working together and you're all for the same goal, essentially, is to help everyone achieve whatever it is they want, then you start like people start being able to hold themselves accountable. Now you're making bigger shifts, than maybe just that little music school that came out of nowhere. Now more and more people are becoming these elite athletes or these people that want to lose weight or not go into, different diseases and things like that.
Yeah, like that book really talks about the importance of community, of having people reflecting back to you what's possible for you. Like, the famous example is like the 4-minute mile. Like no one could crack it. And then when somebody did, everybody did. And,
Mm-hmm.
and like, yeah, with WellStart, like one thing I never hear people say who've gone through WellStart successfully is, oh, this is the first time that it was easy, right? They don't say that. They say, wow, this was the first time I did something hard.
Yeah. And then like knowing that it doesn't have to like it can look any way you want. Like it can look like you just like setting an alarm to look at an alarm to then eventually get up could be your goal, right? But it's
Right.
like there's no like judgment of like, because sometimes like even with just other programs and things like that, it's like we come in with this expectation like we have to be a certain way already. Like when I was a personal trainer, like people would be like, "Oh, well, I need to work out a little to then have you be my trainer." And it's like, but then they never called because they never wanted to take the first step. Or maybe the first step was even just like it could have been as simple as just like having a conversation with me, right? Like I mean, just thinking to do it versus like okay, and I totally get it because I've done this my whole entire life. It's like now I'm having like a moment, right? Where I'm like, okay, I don't want to do that anymore and I can like shift and see it in others and reflect it and also help myself.
Yeah, I just thought of something that is very pleasing to me. So I'm gonna go egghead on you for a little bit. So
Okay.
there's this ancient Greek guy Xeno, who's like a sort of a thinker, philosopher, mathematician, and he came up with what's called Zenos Paradox, which is so imagine you want to shoot an arrow like at a target that's 10 feet away, and you pull
Uh-huh.
and you let go of the bow, and the arrow first has to get halfway to the target. So right before it can go 10 feet, it has to go 5 feet. But before it can go 5 feet, it has to go 2.5 feet. And before it can go 2.5 feet, it has to go 1.25 feet. And so his paradox was the arrow could never reach the target, right? Because there's always another increment that it has to go before it gets there. And
Uh-huh.
and when we are in our heads, we are doing Zeno's paradox. Like I can't use you as a trainer until I do something else. I can't do something else until I do something before that and before that and before that. And
Mhm.
we end up getting stuck where the arrow by the paradox never leaves the bow. As
Mhm.
opposed to once we start doing, there is no doing so small that it doesn't compound and lead to more doing. Like even if it's just as you said, look at the alarm, set an alarm. Don't even get up for it. Just set it. Like that's the opposite of Zeno's paradox. That's moving forward in a way that compounds.
Yeah, like not thinking that like you want to do something and now there's this wall and so now it's like you just stay here. And like I mean really this has like been my thought process. Like, I'm thinking that like there has to be something before I get my Olympic trial cut. But what if that's not it? Maybe like all these 1% that I've been doing my whole entire life just through my thoughts through my physical, menu movement and mindset, like really getting those in alignment and really and then see what happens.
Yeah, so today I'm looking at my YouTube channel. I was like, I need more subscribers. I need more views, right? Like
Uh-huh.
and then I go look at Rich Roll. Like oh, I did a video yesterday. I got 30 views. Rich Roll did a video yesterday. He's got 3.9 thousand, 3,900 views. So like, you know what I need? I need abs. Like that's going to solve my problem, right? As opposed to
Uh-huh.
doing all the YouTubey things, right? Like,
Yeah.
commenting and all the things, the hard work, right? Like I feel the need to find the shortcut and the irrationality of it. And yet, the joy comes from like succeeding through struggle. That's really fun.
Yeah. Uh-huh. And then just like seeing like maybe your outcome isn't going to look the same as rituals, but it could give you the same, right? But just in a different
Right.
way. So it's like even like when you see like swimming breakout stars that are like 17, and
Mm-hmm.
you're like I'm 33, so I'm looking at that like, oh my gosh, like I'll never do it. And so then you
Mm-hmm.
just keep, but then there's something inside of you that wants you to achieve something you've never done before. And then all of a sudden you just go that way. And then you gather tools and then you're like a little, human explorer, just like what those all those philosophers and everyone that created something, right? It started with like an adventure that they just like put on their backpack and they just like went on out there and then oh there's an ocean here, cool. Or
Yeah.
here's a land here. Cool.
Yeah, and and there's a way in which sort of a competitive sport can actually give us a little bit of tunnel vision because we think like that's the standard we have to reach. Like, okay, yeah, Rich Rolls with YouTube and podcast is what I have to be like. This
Mm-hmm.
swimmer is whose time I have to beat. Whereas like we're on our journey, and who knows why you're on your journey. Like you're
Mm-hmm.
in the end, if we made a movie about you, we have no idea how it ends or what the payoff is.
Mm-hmm.
But it could be something totally other than Olympic gold. It might include Olympic gold, it might not, but like the real payoff is the unknown.
Yeah. And just being comfortable in the unknown because, yeah, you can acknowledge the unknown, right? But then it's like if you sit there worrying about the unknown, like now like you're not in the same vibration as your goal. Because like if we think of everything as like, all this energy around us, and it's like, okay, what do I want to do? But ooh, like there's that arrow again. Like, let me just sit here because I don't think that I can reach there. But what if there's no resistance? How far can you reach? I mean, this is my experiment, okay? So this is what I'm actually working through right now. This weekend is, what happens if I don't have any resistance and I just go out there and do my best? What happens?
Right.
With no thoughts of how it's going to end or where I'm going to go or if I don't do this, what happens? None of that. Like literally going in there, having a blast and allowing myself to just be.
Now, I love the concept of resistance because it's a very mental one, but for you, it's really real. Like you're in water,
Yeah,
right?
it is. And it's like, okay, if I mean, like, if your thoughts, are creating your experience, like, and then the thoughts that you don't want are now, not allowing you to fully, fly. Like, I should be way lighter with all my no resistance, like, and I should be able to create what I want from that, So, I mean, I don't have any answers yet, but all I know is this is the experiment I'm testing is no resistance equals what? I don't know.
Right. So is there a way to watch your races? Is anything going to be streamed?
Yeah, it's going to be live streamed. If you go to USMS National
I'm
Championships,
going to type that in the comments. USMS National.
National Championships, and it should come up, and then they should have a live streaming from that.
Okay. And
So
what's your event?
So I'm on Thursday around like 10 o'clock is the 50 freestyle.
That's 10
So I'm
Pacific.
in yes.
Okay.
I'm like what time zone
Where
am I
are
on?
you?
Yes. I'm on another planet, okay. Okay, so that's on Thursday and I'm like heat I can like add later the heats and numbers and things, but around that time. And then on Friday I swim the 200 butterfly, which I'm so excited about because I've already done it enough times to know that it's going to be a lot of fun. And that one I'm swimming around like afternoon time. Sunday I'm swimming the 100 butterfly, so that's even more exciting because it's just a little less butterfly. And that one's like in the morning around like 8 Pacific time. And then Sunday I swim the 50 butterfly. And so then that one's around like 1 o'clock. So yeah.
All right. And in between, you're going to eat good food and have fun.
Yeah, because I brought my chef with me. So he's going to be like eating foods and there's some cool peeps out here I want to see. So, I'm really going to be living in the moment. Like, cause this is my experiment for myself because a lot of times I like to worry about the race. I like to distract myself. And I mean, I'm getting a lot of signs of how I like to distract myself. And so I'm taking them as lessons and like even the books not being shipped, like it's just like lady focus on your like because sometimes like we think we're focusing on one thing but we're really not. And so my lesson right now that I'm learning is that no, I'm actually not center focused and I have the opportunity to test this experiment this weekend and see what happens. So
All right. Well, wishing you tons of fun and exciting outcomes.
Yes.
See if there's any questions, if folks have questions in the comments. And while we're waiting to see, just want to mention that the new WellStart cohort just started yesterday. So if folks want to get in on it, get in on the fun. It's not too late. You'll only have like one 9-minute video to catch up on. And people can do that. Just go to WellStart Health and /com/program. And we would love to have you. It's a really fun, intense, supportive group. I met them already, and they're a great group, and we would love to have a few more folks in there with them. I don't know if you've met them yet, Sarah, but they're awesome.
I've been reading their posts, so I haven't seen them face to face, but it's exciting the energy they're already bringing out. So yeah, I mean, it's so amazing. Like if you're really ready to, take the driver's seat of your health, being an athlete, whatever it is that you want to achieve, and you're looking for some amazing people and inspiring stories and just different walks of life, but all the same. Check us out because it's so amazing. I'm grateful to be a part of this amazing company and working and loving life.
Well, we love having you with us.
Yay!
So, all right, well let's get you back to focused on your dream and on your trip. So let's see the nails one more time.
Yes, headed to the pool after this, so I get to check out my pool and and I'll be sharing. So I haven't decided what I'm sharing, but focus is the key word. So I'm sure we'll have another time where I can share my experience
Awesome.
and how it went.
All right.
All right.
Have fun. Thanks again.
Bye.
Bye.